Hello tacticians, it's Nox here, and this week we have the Draft Tournament Arena making a comeback, so I thought I'd do another tier list for my tunes that I think would be useful to use there. But before we go into that, I'd just like to say my thank yous, and today they go to Karma Sonam Chota, Spaz Stooge, Ivan the Terrible, Master Enzo, and Antok Alaz. All of you who've used my friend code, and it is very much appreciated. So thank you very much indeed. So this week will be the PowerUp Draft Tournament Arena. So we are going to have to choose 7 of our characters, 3 of which will be placed automatically for us, and the other 2 we'll get to choose in our turns. And as the PowerUp part suggests, there will be power-ups on the battlefield for us to pick up and use to try and defeat our enemy. So many of these options haven't changed much. The Overwatch section is still the same, and to be honest, in my opinion, Rayvas needs possibly to be moving down. Everyone by now should realise Thaddeus and now the Neurothrope from the Tyranids have both got a fantastic suppression range to just take him out of the game when he goes into Overwatch. However, Calendis and Sarkwell are both fantastic picks. Calendis, as always, can just move around the battlefield, and I'm sure everyone has been on the receiving end of that tune's rifle. But how can we make the most of our snipers? Well, all of them, apart from Rayvas, are heavy weapons users, and as such we need to think of where some buffing characters which affect them, such as Thaddeus and Manius Calgar, are placed before we take their shot. I know I am absolutely terrible for moving Calendis first and shooting, and then realise, oh, hang on, I should have put Thaddeus within range so they would have got the buff from the shot. Make sure you bear this in mind when you're moving your snipers around. Make sure they're within the range of someone like Thaddeus, or maybe the target's in range of Eldrian, before you take that all-important shot. Moving on to the AoE, Manius Calgar and Thaddeus are still kings here. Thaddeus especially so because of his dual purpose as a buffer to your heavy weapons teams. And this is why Vindicta is here as well. Her flamethrower is a heavy weapon and will benefit from Thaddeus's bonus too. If you're lucky enough to have Manius Calgar in there, she can really wreck some face. Moving on to the stealth. Now, stealth seems to have taken a bit of a hit recently. There are still some really good characters here, and they are fantastic for getting around the Overwatch characters, but really people do tend to stick with 2 Overwatch characters, one of which is Rayvas, who isn't a threat after they have dropped their drones, and of course Calendis. I still think there is a place for stealth because of their way of being able to shut down the Overwatch characters. However, I think it's starting to get that there are better options out there to shut the Overwatch down. As such, personally, I would really like to see a buff to some of the stealth characters. For the buffing section, again, bear in mind that Thaddeus and Manius also cater for the buffing as well. The most popular we see is Ornn Shi because his ability to let someone do an active ability again. Quite often this is on Rayvas, who I think in some circumstances is the wrong target because Rayvas is so easily shut down from Overwatch with characters like Thaddeus. Eldrian is a great example because of the damage multiplication that he provides. If you have a couple of units with multiple hits, such as Vindicta or indeed the new Tyranids, is really going to ramp up the damage that they do. And speaking of the Tyranids, I think Magatab may actually have a reason to return. Moving on to the summoning characters, yes, Celestine will always be at the top unless they nerf her one day, which, well, if they ever start revisiting characters to buff and nerf, I reckon she may be in the firing line. I only say this because I've recently unlocked her, and you know how these things go. You get someone you've been looking forward to for ages, and then it gets nerfed. If you do, however, use Show Sil, I would fully recommend taking in Rayvas, and it's not for Rayvas's Overwatch, although of course that does help. Keep Show Sil near Rayvas's drones. That way, Show Sil is even more protected and can spit out more drones of their own, and those sniper drones are lethal. And of course the rest of the summons are great as well, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see a resurgence of summons, but this time it might be focusing on the Tyranids. And the best of the rest, well, Ulf is still up there. If summons make a comeback, Ulf is there to chop them down. And I've got to say, I am very impressed with Arjak still. If you are in the lead or if you are losing, Arjak can get you that last point for the win or just snag you one extra point before that inevitable loss. Both of these Space Wolves are fantastic, and if you haven't got them geared up to be used in the tournament arenas, it's certainly worthwhile thinking about. And now on to the ones to watch. This is probably my favourite part. We've got Death Leaper and the Winged Tyranid Prime. First, the Winged Tyranid Prime. It has a movement of 4 which flies. There is no stopping this character if he wants to get to someone. And when it attacks, it's going to summon in another Hormigant to attack that character as well, if it doesn't die. But that's not all. The reason why I've got the Neurogaunt there in the middle is if that character attacks and doesn't kill a character while the Winged Tyranid Prime is on the battlefield, guess what? Another Hormigant is going to be summoned. And this is what I mean about the summoning meta. If these two work as well as I think they might do, we're going to be seeing Hormigants all over the battlefield. And of course we got Death Leaper. Now, one thing to remember, Death Leaper is not a Synapse node. So Death Leaper and the Tyrant Guard are not going to be summoning extra Hormigants, which I think is going to be a good thing, because if they also summoned it in, all of these 4 would be in every TA everywhere. However, early reports from the last tournament arena we had, people were on the fence about Death Leaper. I honestly think that if you put Death Leaper in your team, you are going to need one or both of the Winged Tyranid Prime and the Neurogaunt, because of that Synapse ability that they both have. Only when that Synapse ability is covering multiple enemies, that's when Death Leaper jumps back and really does what he does best. And as much as I love the Thousand Suns for PvE, I'm not really sure they're the ones for PvP yet. Yazagor I could see being fantastic. I've seen him used once with Typhus to deliver Typhus in and do his massive AoE attack. Very useful there, very situational, but watch out for it. Apart from that, I just don't think he's got what it takes, unless Nyal can also use the same ability, and then maybe, just maybe, Yazagor will be in. But overall, the damage he does, I don't think we'll be seeing him in PvP again. And from my brief usage of Ahriman, I just don't think he has the support there yet. Yes, using Vindicta really does help, and he can dish out some decent damage. But I think you need more of a team before he really is the one to put in. So this is the 7 I'm thinking about taking into the draft tournament arena. We've got the new Winged Tyranid Prime along with the Neurothrope. If both of these are on the battlefield, I'll be summoning Hormigants all over the place to really make a mess of my enemy. Then I've got everyone's favourite 2 snipers, Calendis and Sarkwell. And yes, you are right, I have not got Ravas on here, and I haven't been using Ravas for quite some time, and that's all because of Thaddeus. Not only will he be buffing my 2 snipers, if I see a Ravas, well, I'm shutting Ravas down from his Overwatch. Ulf is also in there. I find his melee absolutely fantastic, and if I want to stop my enemy moving towards me, his active putting down ice is a fantastic way of stopping them doing that. And of course Celestine. In the last tournament arena, which was the first time I got Celestine, I managed to get to number 101. So not quite top 100, but still very, very respectable. And I was making plenty of mistakes with her. As I've said before, and I'll always say in the future, until she gets nerfed, she is probably the best character to take into any tournament arena you can. So why these characters? Well, Celestine can take care of herself, and Ulf is there to take care of any summons that my opponent may bring in. Then I've got the 2 Tyranids who will work together to bring in all of their summons, and the 2 snipers with Thaddeus, well, they're the classic trio, which should, I would imagine, be in anyone's starting lineup. Obviously, once the tournament arena is underway, I'll be posting a couple of my battles to show you how well these are doing. And most importantly, I'll be focusing on the Tyranids, because I really want to know, and I want to show you guys how well, or badly, that they do in the tournament arenas. If you like the videos I do, it'd be much appreciated if you would at least think about using my friend code, as it really does help me out. Or if you or your guild are looking for a new home, please reach out to any of the guilds shown here. As always, please like, comment and subscribe, and I'll be seeing you on the battlefield.